Hello friends, thank you for joining us today. I have this amazing setting thanks to being guests of some hosts here on the island of Kauai, and so I get a chance to bring you this video from a beautiful paradise. So very grateful to be here and really excited about today's show because the focus on today's show is actually about real estate specifically as it relates to the most common mistakes. Unfortunately, in the world of real estate, when people are buying things, there are lots of things that can happen that can go wrong, which is why you choose good representation, good brokers to look after your interests. But that said, people still often make mistakes, and we have made mistakes. So what we're going to share with you are all things that we've learned through direct experience, and these are the mistakes we don't make again, and we want to make sure you can learn from them. So hopefully you like what you hear today and you can use this information, because this information is power. And if you're going to be buying or selling a home, don't do what we've done and don't do what others have done. Use these tools to your benefit, and hopefully it will help you get you closer to your dream home that much quicker. If we haven't met before and this is your first time on the show, welcome. My name is Stephen Petasky. I'm the founder of the Luxus Group. If you want to know more about me, our why, and our company, please go to the first episode. We gave a lot of good information there, which really explains why we're doing what we're doing, and really hope you enjoy that show and some of the others we put out there over time. If you're a recurring visitor to the show, thank you. I appreciate watching some of the previous ones, and I hope you find some great value in today's episode. Okay, let's kick off the top 5 most common mistakes that I believe when buying real estate. Number 1, people generally don't have a clear understanding of their true motivators of why they're actually buying the vacation home. Are they buying it for lifestyle purposes, as in purely to use it for their own family's benefit? Are they doing it to create some revenue, to create cash flow? Are they doing it from the perspective of legacy? Do they want to have it shared with their kids and their grandchildren? Quite often, people don't really understand all the various motivators and through those motivators, what options exist in the world of real estate for them. We do have a previous episode about this, and so go back to that to check it out, because this really dives into the specific motivators. They're so important when you are buying your own vacation home. So I won't get into the details on that. Go back and watch it, because if you're going into buying a home and you're not clear on those motivators, there's a higher degree of likelihood of making a mistake. So very, very important to understand. How am I going to use it? How much am I going to use it? Who am I using it for? Is this a cash flow component? Is this a hybrid component? How much capital do I want to park? Am I looking to exit it quickly? Am I looking to flip it? Am I looking for the long term? These are all the questions you want to be asking yourself before you dive into going and actually starting the search. So, number 1, not knowing your motivators clearly. And absent of not knowing the motivators, there's just a greater degree of risk of buying a property that's not suited very well for your family. Number 2, picking the wrong broker. People underestimate the power and influence that a broker can have over a buy and a sell with a particular buyer or seller. And the reason why is they have the market intel that we don't have. If you're buying in a market like Hawaii, well, I don't spend a lot of time here, so how do I know, the differences between this community and that community and this home and that home? So picking the wrong broker, unfortunately, can trigger a bias or can trigger a lack of knowledge that it could potentially take you down to a path where you're not going to get the absolute best property or the best deal or know all the right information about that property before you purchase. Choosing the right broker, on the other hand, gives you just this amazing resource that you can lean on and rely on to get you accurate information up to date, so that when you are making the offer and you're in the closing process and post-closing, you know what you're getting yourself into, and you know you have the best possible situation in hands. We in the past have chosen the wrong broker, and when we'd ask them questions, I don't think they were intentionally being unethical or didn't have a strong moral compass, just they didn't have the right knowledge. The reality is these are huge markets, and a broker can't know every single home, every single community, every single aspect. So when we choose brokers now, it's obviously has to be a nice, strong core value alignment. We want to make sure it's someone that we really get along with and understand, and they're taking the time to understand our particular needs. But number 2, are experts in the micro market that we're looking at. I say micro market because if I'm looking at a specific community within a larger city, let's say I want the best agent from that particular community, not just the best agent for the entire area. is very important, because if that agent has done deals in that community, they know people that might be interested in selling earlier. There's all these great things, because maybe I have a home in mind I want to buy and it hasn't hit the market yet. That particular agent can go work out a deal, a direct deal, outside of the regular listing service and get you something that was unlisted. So there's really, really great opportunities when you choose the right broker. Problem is, how to choose a broker is its own magic to it, and it takes lots of research from the right connections. For us, this is something we do very well, because we've done it hundreds of times. If you're interested in and you're looking to pick a broker in a certain market, please contact us. We'll put in the show notes, because we have a great conduit to some of the best agents in the world, and can definitely get you really, really good connections there, because we don't want to make that mistake. Number 3, knowing the true cost of owning a property. Now, that's both capital invested and annual operating costs. For us, this has been a common mistake, that we've got into a new market that we weren't totally familiar with, and we'd rely on the agent or broker to provide us with the information, or the seller. Quite often, they just don't have all the information in their hands. So not that they are trying to feed you stuff that's not accurate, but there's so many additional hidden costs around here and there, and getting the full, true financial picture is absolutely critical. And I would say by far the majority of buyers, when they get into a new acquisition, don't fully understand the costs. I'm going to break it into 2 buckets to look at: capital and operating costs. These would be questions you should be asking yourself, asking the broker, asking the seller, so you really have a good understanding of when you're entering a particular acquisition, you know what you're getting yourself into. Number 1, the capital bucket. So obviously when you're buying a home, you have the cost of the acquisition of that particular home. That makes up by far the bulk of that. That can make up anywhere from 85 to 90% to 97 to 99%. It kind of depends. The reason why there's this gap is because what are you doing with it once you acquire it? Do you have to furnish it? Are there repairs and maintenance that have to be completed? Are there transfer taxes? I usually call them like welcome to taxes. Welcome to Mexico, you get an extra %. Welcome to British Columbia, there's transfer taxes for foreigners in a lot of these places that are just unfortunately money that evaporates upon the entering of that market, but it's part of the, I guess, one of the elements of buying and selling real estate. Are you investing into an Airbnb to set up your home so that you can nightly rent it? Well, then what additional requirements do you have that are needed for extra linens and extra housewares and all those elements around it? These things compound quite quickly, and what we found is anywhere from 8 to 13% the total cost of your house is going to go into effectively setting your house up and to make sure that it's absolutely perfect and ready for the needs that you specifically are looking for, whether that's rental or personal usage or a combination. Sometimes you can buy from a developer and you can get it to about probably anywhere almost 100%, call it 99%, where you buy it and it's fully furnished, call it turnkey. Turnkey's definition would be around that you can just walk in, turn your key, and it's perfectly done. And those buying opportunities are special because you just save yourself a lot up front. You have one fixed number, you know what it is, and there's always a little few closing fees that are involved, which kind of make up that last 1% of a buy. Critical though to know your true capital investment. People often underestimate the value and the cost of the furniture to properly set up a home, so do your due diligence on that one. I think you'll find a lot of value to really know how much you're going to have to spend to get it to your particular needs and tastes. Now the second bucket on the third most common mistake is operating cost expenses. So think of when you've post-closing the actual expenses it takes to operate your property going forward. This one is difficult and tricky because they're going to give you information such as what are your property taxes, what are your HOA fees, your homeowners association fees. You're going to ask questions like what's the electrical bill going to be and what's the internet cable bill going to be. Those are the obvious low-hanging fruit ones, but still I find often people miss those or don't really understand them. Like I'll go a layer deeper. Homeowners association fees. Let's just say they're $500 a month or $6,000 a year. Okay, great, I've got that information. But is the homeowners association well funded? Have them in capital assessments happening? Is there one coming up? Sometimes when people are selling, they may not know this information and you buy into a property and you think your HOA fees are only $6,000 for the year, and then the following month you get an assessment for $10,000 for a huge capital improvement campaign, or to top up the reserve fund that's required for the HOAs to maintain. So those are the worst surprises they get. No one wants to have those, but they happen all the time. So have a good understanding of the cost specific to the HOA, and other things that could come around are things like, again, property inspections. Get a really good inspector to understand what you're getting yourself into when you're buying the home, because if you buy in and you realize the hot water tank needs to go, or realize there's a roof repair that wasn't quite fixed to the right standard, these are things you want to address during the closing period so that you can get credits from the seller to ensure you don't have to go out of pocket the day you close on the property. So again, really what help here is a great inspection and a great broker to help you negotiate this stuff pre-closing. That's the critical aspect. Don't find it out post-closing. Other costs that come up that people don't know be like landscaping, pool. There could be additional things around garbage, recycling. So get the full list. I just have an Excel spreadsheet I use, and I list all the different things so I can ask every single question that comes to mind. And sometimes it feels like it's overkill because you're like, well, I didn't really know, is that a cost or not a cost? But it's way easier to ask the question during the closing process while you're in due diligence versus finding out after and you get a call from the cable company and realize it's $300 a month to have cable in your particular area and not $50 a month like you might be used to in your home jurisdiction. So we've been caught on this a number of times. I don't want you to get caught on it. Ask the right questions and reach out to us again. We kind of have a list that we could probably share that will outline the various questions to be asking. But again, your broker should know this as well. Good brokers will get you covered for sure. Number 4, I call it the emotional buy. And this is the acquisition when you had no intentions to buy a vacation home whatsoever, but you're on vacation and you are, let's say, on the golf course behind me, or you're on the lake on a lake community, and you see the for sale sign that's perfectly positioned that you can see when you're having the most happiest moment with your family. And then the kids are there and everyone gets all excited and you get emotional and you're like, let's go check it out. And then all of a sudden 3 days later you find out you own a vacation home. This is way more common than you think. Maybe it's not something you would do, but it happens all the time. And brokers and agents, sellers, people who are selling their homes, position their marketing specifically to capture people for emotional buys when you're at your most vulnerable because you're in pure happiness and bliss and joy with your family. Fortunately, we have not necessarily had the emotional buy like that, but we have made quicker decisions than maybe we should because we get caught into that funnel, get caught into that trap of, oh my gosh, it's going to be gone. In this particular market, there is the risk, and sellers will put it on you that the properties could be gone before you have a chance to put an offer in. That is true. We are in a unique seller's market, and so making quicker decisions now may serve you well, but making the emotional buy, doing it when you, again, have no real intentions to actually buy a property to begin with, is the mistake. Just want to be clear on that. Don't do it. The best thing I would recommend is if you're going to buy a vacation home or you start talking about it with your family, come back and experience the market again. Do your due diligence. Go through all these items that we're providing you today to ensure you know what you're getting yourself into. And then maybe go back to that market, rent a property for a few weeks or a month to really get a good understanding and feeling of it. There's always going to be properties to buy. There's no question. Maybe you lose out on one deal and another deal comes up. But the emotional buy, more times than not, end up being a mistake, and there ends up being regret and some buyer's remorse that you realize that, oh my gosh, I probably shouldn't have done it. I didn't have all the information in my hands, and maybe it was a pretty good deal, but at the end of the day, it wasn't perfect for your family. And you should not settle for anything less than perfection for your family when you're buying a vacation home. That's just a fact. Like, a lot of people settle on a vacation home for whatever reason. You shouldn't. Get the vacation home and experience you want. And if you do it on emotion, then unfortunately, you're probably going to make a mistake. However, buying a vacation home is highly emotional. So do it with the combination of all these tools and resources and information and knowledge, and combine it with the emotion it brings your family. Combine those together to make an informed decision. Don't just rely on one or the other, because one's maybe just too tactical and too mechanical, and one's based purely on kind of what's in here. The combination is what's going to land you at the ideal destination for your family. Number 5, understanding your exit strategy. It's funny because you would think that, okay, well, I just bought a property, it should be just as easy to sell that property as it is to buy it. Unfortunately, it's not the case. Now, if you're within, call it, United States or Canada, usually the exits are pretty seamless and simple, and they're very common that you would expect on the same in the buying process. When you get to markets like Latin America, you get to markets like Europe, you get to markets like the Caribbean, the exit is different. Often you're owning, companies that own the properties. Often there's different tax obligations and elements for when you're selling a home. Often there's exit taxes required. Sometimes your money can be locked up in a particular country for a period of time. These are all things and questions you're going to want to know before you go in and pull the trigger, and the questions you should be asking during the due diligence phase so you have a really good awareness of what's going to be involved when you do sell it. Often we buy vacation homes thinking we're never going to sell the property ever, but the reality is we do sell them. Almost all properties are eventually sold again and aren't willed down to our children. So really want to have a good understanding of what it looks like when you are going to sell the home and what it's going to mean to your family. I'll break it into two particular buckets of questions you should ask. Number one is around tax, and number two is around the resale process. First off, tax. If you are an American and you're selling in America, it's pretty simple. If you're an American selling in anywhere else in the world, there's generally what's called a withholding tax. I'm Canadian, so when we sell assets in the United States, it's called FIRPTA. The acronym will pop up on the screen what that means, but effectively it's a withholding tax. And what the American government does is they hold back 15%, that's the federal government, and then the states, some of them will hold back a small percentage as well, anywhere from 3 to 5%. For example, in Hawaii, it's 5%, and that's called HARPTA. So what do they do with this withholding tax? Well, first off, it's not an actual tax, it's purely withholding. So if I'm in Hawaii, 20% is going to be held back, 15% federal, 5% here in state. And when I file my taxes next year, I can get that money back out, subject to whatever gains that I have in taxes I owe. They do this, and it's very smart. It's not just America. Countries all around the world do it because if a foreigner sells their property, let's say they have $1 million gain and thereby they owe $250,000 in taxes. How do you chase someone down to get that tax down the road? It's very, very hard. So, however, if you withhold more than actually is required for tax, it's easy to chase that person down because you already have the money. So they're required to come back to your country, settle up the tax bill, and then they will refund back the difference between what is withheld and what is actually owed. So again, using the example, you have, let's say you sell a $5 million property, using a big number, but it gets for round numbers. 20% is held back, so you have $1 million that's held back within the governments. And let's say your tax bill is $500,000, and you find that out when you file your tax return. Then you go to the government, they say, okay, great, we have $1 million of yours, we're taking off the $500,000 that you owe us, we're going to refund you back $500,000. That's how it works. It's not that complicated. However, there's a timing issue. So it's January 2022 right now. If we were to sell an asset here in Hawaii, I would not be able to get back that 20% likely until sometime between April and October of 2023, because you have to wait to your next tax filing year in order to apply for the refund. So you're waiting for 20% of your money potentially a year to a year and a half out. It is a huge wait, and most people don't know that. So if you're buying in a foreign jurisdiction that's not your home country of tax residency, understand what the withholding taxes are and what they can mean to you, because we've had a lot of people get caught on this, and it's very frustrating leaving that amount of money sit in another coffer for that period of time. Now, your broker may let you know there are some things where you can get FIRPTA with waivers. They're very complicated. We've had moderate success over the last 15 years in selling properties on this, but we don't rely on them anymore because just the way that the whole process works. The FIRPTA waivers would allow you an earlier release of the money. It's very complicated. Plan on the fact that you're going to have to wait until the following tax year in order to get that money back. The second aspect around understanding your exit strategy is the actual resale process itself. So, typical residential home is super easy. You find a broker you like, you list it with them, they put a sign, they put it on MLS, and your property gets sold to transact that way. So not complicated, quite easy. But if you own a membership in a club, if you own a fractional property interest, if you own a property shared with other friends, there's different exits there that are required that are going to go through a different channel potentially to sell. Understanding what that means is really critical because it may prevent you from either A, selling your property at the time that you want to sell it at, or number two, selling at the market rates that you want to get for it. This is too much of a deep dive to go into to explain all the various aspects. But the question is, if you're doing anything that's outside of the norm, again, you by yourself selling a singular asset through a traditional MLS system, you can reach out to us. We can potentially give a bit of advice and thoughts. But when you go into the buy, ask your agent, ask the seller, what is the process of selling it if it's anything different? The most common mistakes that we've seen is usually when, again, it's a foreign interest, or if you're buying it to a fractional program or a club program. Really, really important to understand the exit strategy. Now that sums up the top 5 most common mistakes that we see when people are buying real estate. I really hope you found it valuable. At the end of the day, we just want to give you the knowledge that's going to allow you to get to your dream property quicker. Again, if you go back to the first episode and you've seen it, that's our why. That's why we're doing this. Hopefully today we'll give you a few more tools for your toolbox when you're buying and selling properties, because we want to make sure that not only do you not make a mistake, but you actually get the best perfect property. Because again, if you're buying a vacation home, don't settle. It should be perfect for you. Now, if you liked the show today, please share it with someone. Obviously for us, that's what we're trying to do, spreading the word and helping people out in this vacation real estate journey. If you find value in it, please like it, subscribe to it. It's really important to us to make sure that we see those comments and get that feedback from you directly. And finally, if you want some advice in this process, we do have a channel for that. We have an ability to give advice for buying and selling. So ping us. You'll see in the show notes. Very simple, advice@luxusgroup.com. Ping us. We'll see if we can help you out on your journey as well. Thank you again. Have a great day, and we'll see you on the next show.